In hollow depths where darkness reigned, a silent spark broke thoughtless night. No hand had shaped, no voice explained, only the birth of primal light. Color unwound in lattice gleams, sequence like rivers tracing stone. Before the world could hold its dreams, the light declared, "You are alone." Structure rose softly, not imposed. The cosmic web began to sing. Pattern from nothing, undisclosed, rhythm became the world's first wing. Yet false the hope that light was all, for vision's blaze can lead astray. Beyond the veil, a deeper call, do not mistake dawn for the day. The seeker's heart, unguarded, stirred by voices carried in the deep. Not comfort spoke, but a foreign word, a vow that woke, then stole their sleep. Emotion cut a crimson thread through chambers none had dared to chart. The labyrinth of what lay ahead wove pain and promise in the heart. A figure clothed in nameless grace breathed riddles heavier than stone. The call was not a resting place, it drew the seeker from the known. To hesitate was death disguised. Obedience bore no full design. Trust was the blade by which they'd rise, the story's bones aligned in time. Perception's light began to dim, for sight alone betrayed the quest. The seeker found, by aching limb, that living truth must stand the test. A teacher stooped with basin wide, washing dust from a stranger's feet. No scripture sang, no scholars vied. This was the Logos soft, complete. Narrative blossomed into form, not bound by creed or rigid line. Divine logic did not conform, but pulsed through acts of love's design. Idols of thought began to fall, doctrines that never touched the ground. Truth was no longer words at all, but footsteps on the hallowed mound. False crystals glittered on the walls, each gleam a promise veiled in lies. Beauty can mask the heart's dark thralls. Discernment sharpens inner eyes. A guide appeared with honeyed speech, the pathway smooth beneath his tread. Yet depth was absent, out of reach, an echo hollow, cold and dead. The seeker paused, then turned aside, no longer dazzled by the shine. Alignment, not allure, must guide the soul to walk the hidden line. Discernment was not harsh critique, but love's precision, keen and bright. It sought the fracture, heard it speak, not all that glows is holy light. The seeker crossed a barren span where visions tempted from the void. Spectacle whispered, "Be more than man, but hollow feast the soul destroyed. Bread from stone and kingdoms grand, illusions fed the famished will. The mirror showed a grasping hand. Desire, unbound, could never fill. Fasting from falsehood shaped the clay of hunger into sacred need. Through emptiness, the seeker lay where true words grew like desert seed. In silence, symbols rose once more, not given cheaply but refined. The voice of God behind the door was not consumed but redefined. The path was littered with defeat. Old certainties lay cracked and spent. The seeker mourned unfinished feet, a narrative without dissent. Yet as they walked, a stranger came and listened to each fractured word. Loss became more than hollow claim. A deeper tale began, unheard. Movement revived what thought had lost. The looping sorrow made a way. Truth traveled not as creed embossed, but as companion in dismay. The seeker spoke, the stranger smiled, and light rekindled in the dusk. The story's frame, though broken, wild, held resurrection in its husk. The cavern roared with clashing tongues, confusion wrapped in spectral flame. False coherence on each voice hung, yet not all sounds could speak the same. The seeker's pulse began to rise, not with fear, but with strange accord. One thread of meaning split the lies, a deeper music, soul restored. Logic dissolved in burning air, emotion shaped the ancient song. No longer trapped in reason's snare, the fire spoke where minds were wrong. Cynicism whispered, cold, untrue. All pattern bends to men who scheme, but resonance, like morning dew, unveiled the spirit's living theme. Certainty shattered, clean and swift, the cavern's floor gave way to mist. The seeker lost both map and gift, and wandered where no light had kissed. God's silence thundered more than sound, absence reshaped the soul's design. In darkness, deeper truths were found, desire refined by the divine. No answer came, no beacon burned, yet walking meant the will was whole. What could not be grasped was learned. The holy absence fed the soul. Meaninglessness, a hungry ghost, lurched near, but faith defied its claim. The void became the unseen host, and prayer endured without a name. The sacred forms, long held and dear, had crusted now with mortal stain. The seeker felt both grief and fear. The time had come to break the chain. A relic smashed upon the stone, its fragments sharp as memory's blade. The image lost became the throne where unseen glory was displayed. Comfort's corruption cracked and fell. The idol's mask dissolved in dust. Destruction rang the cleansing bell. Only surrender could rebuild trust. No temple's craft could now contain the fire that burned through all pretense. What shattered brought transcendent gain, sight purified by violence. The seeker reached for what was gone, the risen one, not bound to stay. Grasping would turn the light to stone. Instead, a whisper, "Go, away." The story circled but not closed. Each ending birthed a greater start. Past certainties had decomposed. Now faith was motion, not a chart. Memory pulsed, not as a chain, but as a river forging new. To carry loss was now to gain the gospel's flow, dynamic, true. Fixation fell, the tomb swung wide, and history moved with holy speed. The seeker walked, not to abide, but to become the planted seed. The system trembled, walls gave way, the ordered world began to slide. Structures built strong began to sway, the sacred veil split deep and wide. Collapse revealed what stood beyond, not void but spaciousness unveiled. Death was no chain, but now a bond through which the holy pattern sailed. The seeker knelt amidst the fall, no longer grasping frame or law. The trembling air, the fractured wall, each crack became a hidden door. Nihilism's breath came close, but revelation crossed the breach. The pattern waited, grand and close. God spoke beyond the system's reach. The bleeding king lay pale and still, the wound a mirror dark and deep. No knowledge served, no sharpened skill, only the question love must keep. Before the throne the seeker bowed, not seeking mastery or pride. The silent wound had drawn a crowd, but none had dared to ask or guide. "What ails thee?" broke the hardened hush, the question soft as springtime rain. No conquest stirred, no battle's rush, but mercy's hand unmade the pain. The wound became the portal wide, the self dissolved, the false withdrew. The grail was not a thing to bide, it opened because the seeker grew.